Good, 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 good. Start off, tough team loss that we put to bed a long time ago. Got some good practices in a week ago, and I think for the future, we're going to try to find some way of zooming. I know I'm on the road recruiting like last Monday, but trying to find a way we can, get you guys more information in the open week as opposed to waiting, over a week just to get any information on the game. So I think we'll change it up for the next open week. But tough team loss. We had our opportunities. We didn't coach good enough. We didn't execute good enough. I mean, it really comes down to that. We had our opportunities, which, makes you sick when you watch it. I think we had 9 of the 14 penalties were on a money down, which is 3rd or 4th down. But we just, we beat ourselves. We shot ourselves in the foot. Nobody beat us. And I say it all the time to our kids and after the game, like, it's about what we do. It's not about what somebody else. We can talk about all the X's and O's and all the people playing on either side of the ball, but it comes down to doing what you're supposed to do. We didn't do a great job at that. So you live and learn. You get stronger from it. We build off of it. The ACC is ahead of us. A non-conference game is a non-conference game. Goal at the end of the day is to win an ACC championship. So our guys realize that, and I think they learned a lot from last week's game. Our first really big game on the road, which are never easy to go on the road and win a football game. And again, we had our opportunities in, even down to the end, but it shouldn't even got to the end. Shouldn't got to overtime. We had a chance to knock them out. Going into Louisville, obviously, an undefeated Louisville team's coming here at noon on Saturday. Jeff Brom is an excellent football coach, one of the best in the business offensively. Him and his brother, kind of run that offense. Miller Moss, Isaac Brown at tailback. He's explosive. He'll be freshened up because he only took 2 snaps Saturday. So Isaac Brown will be ready to roll, and Miller Moss transferred from USC. We got a big wideout in Bell out there that does a great job, and Lacey, number 5, is another special player that they try to get a bunch of touches to. So they're explosive on offense. I mean, really explosive on offense. We'll have our hands full like we have the last 2 years with, defending Jeff Brom. Defensively, they do a great job. Ron English, veteran defense coordinator, as well as Mark Hagan, who is their co-defensive coordinator as well. Mark Hagan's, the defensive line coach. I think it all starts up front. He does a great job with that defensive line. He'll get them motivated. I'm surprised he's not a coordinator somewhere else on a higher level. I think he's an excellent coach and does a phenomenal job coaching that front 4. So we got to keep them away from our quarterback with our O-line. Lubin is a big athletic guy that's it's got a great speed rush. Him and Bailey on the other end are excellent players. They got Quinn at middle linebacker, who's probably the most productive player on defense, at least when it comes to tackles. So and their experience in the back end. So they're talented. Our job is not to really worry about who they are. It's worried about Pitt, that's kind of where we are. Questions?
You mentioned the penalties that came when money downs, like you said, against West Virginia. Some of those were from senior guys too, especially on the offensive line.
Yeah.
What's the solution when you get veteran guys?
Not letting it happen again. We can't have captains. We can't have our older guys, our seniors, our leadership guys, making those type of critical errors. And we got to be better. We got to be better on the road. We got to be better with the noise, and we got to be better across the board. That doesn't matter whether it's offense or defense. Our seniors got to play their best football.
Nobody wants to commit a penalty, right? So how do you instill that? Is it a discipline issue? Is it focus?
You got to say it's a discipline issue, but it's not like when you think discipline, like disciplining your children, but it's just being smart. I mean, we got to be smart. You guys watch the videotape. You saw some of the penalties that were either there or not there. We just got to be smart, and I think it's just being aggressive. I mean, we talk about aggressive penalties and unforced penalties and selfish penalties, but we've got to be smarter. We're better football players. We're smarter than that. And if they're going to call it that close, then we got to do a better job. As coaches, making sure that we give them no reason to call a roughing the passer or trying to go push a pile, and all of a sudden the pile goes down and you go over top. I mean, we just got to be smarter.
Eli, with a little bit of a sluggish start down there,
Yeah.
West Virginia, what can we do to sort of fix those problems?
Well, the first thing we can do is make sure we protect the quarterback, right? I mean, I don't think we know any contact on a quarterback affects a quarterback. So it doesn't help when you go out there in the first play of the game and you have a max protection called and we don't protect the quarterback. So that's where it starts. So Again, the quarterback's always going to get all the praise when you're 2-0 and when he doesn't throw good enough. But pressure affects people. Okay, and we got to do a better job making sure it doesn't affect him and move on from it like we have. But we got to protect the quarterback, and we didn't do a good enough job protecting the quarterback on just fundamentals. And execution, and then there's a couple times where he's got to get rid of the ball where he runs into sacks as opposed to moving his feet in the pocket and letting the ball rip.
That said, there were a number of passes that he did have, Dez up the sideline or Justin Holmes up the sideline that were throws that were there to be made. As you watched it, as Cade watched it, where do you see some of those issues? Is it accuracy? Is he not comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, he's got Dez. That's on a scramble, and it's a tough throw when you're running to the right and trying to lay it up there to Dez. And then, the one that Justin we thought was going to be there all week, he's just got to make the throws. I mean, you watch football on Saturday, they don't always make all those throws, and we'd like him to be perfect. He's not going to be, but, big-time players make those plays in big-time games, and we got to make those plays. That goes down to execution. We got to make the play when we have somebody open.
Eli and Kenny talked, training camp and spring about how they have this chemistry, the relationship is really good, and they got to know what each other likes and everything. How have you seen that relationship play out on the field in the first one?
Find out this weekend. I think it's been okay. I mean, Kenny's had his catches, and there's times where we got to get it to him more. So we expect to get him the ball more, and there's times when he's open and we got to get it to him, whether it's when you take a sack or run into a sack, whatever it may be. But I've been happy with the way Kenny's played and gotten open. We got to get him the ball.
Noticed Sean Lee is listed as a co-starter with Tamon Lineham. What have you seen from Lee that has really put him in that position?
He's a football player. I mean, he had 93 plays on defense. I think he had 8 on special teams. So as a true freshman to come in and play over 100 snaps in a football game and be on it the whole time, talk about executing. I mean, he played at a high level. I mean, I see him as a starter right now. That's probably why I put that oar on there. I mean, Sean Lee is a football player. We've said it through camp, and he's just going to continue to get more reps because you put him out there and you trust him. And he is the game doesn't get too big for him. He didn't in a big atmosphere, in a power forward game. He didn't play like a freshman.
You've also got 3 guys listed as co-starter tight end. I mean, are you getting what you hope for out of that tight end?
Yeah, we are. I think they're all. We had a holding penalty down on a nice run by Deuce. But all 3 of those guys are football players. I feel good with all 3 of them as starters, really. I mean, Malachi's done a great job when he's in there. Holmes has done great, and we hope and hope and hope that Overman's ready to go.
You guys, any team suffers a tough loss like this, you get asked a bunch, say how the players respond, or how the players bouncing back.
Right.
How about the staff? I mean, they pour a lot into this too. How they all bounce back from?
Yeah, staff bounce. I mean, players bounce back. Players were great last week, and the coaches are the same way. I mean, we're older. We better be able to bounce back. I mean, we know how critical it is. It's 1 game season every week. You put everything into it. First week, second week, third week. You put it all in 4th week. I mean, there's no. The coaches are the last ones you worry about.
So, from your standpoint, then, as the head coach, is there any sort of reinforcement you got to give to your position coaches and coordinators about sticking with the plan and not wavering going into the conference season?
Yeah, I mean, that never happens. I mean, we talk about that all the time. I mean, the plan doesn't change. Some of the, the X and O's on the field change. What you're doing, how you're doing it, who's doing what, who are you getting the ball to, who's blocking, all those things. But the plan never changes. If you start changing the plans, you got problems.
We saw a lot of Deuce Spann against West Virginia. What have you seen from him these past couple of weeks that have earned him a co-starter spot as well?
Deuce has done a nice job, and again, I think maybe someone asked that question after the game the other day. Just, Blue was cramping up a little bit. That's why you kind of saw him. It was a hot day when we played a lot of plays. But Blue, I think whoever asked that question about why Deuce was in there, but we got to trust Deuce. Deuce is a starter as well, in my opinion. He does a nice job of executing and doing things right. So, both those guys will get the even share out there, and we'll see who makes more plays.
What did you see from Joel's golf in that loss, but also how much trust right now do you have in him to take an increased number of snaps?
I got a lot of trust in him. I mean, he plays big. He plays big. He had a nice run, I think, in the 4th quarter, bouncing out, breaking a few tackles, and getting around the edge for a big important gain on that play. But we had some obviously protection issues as well that we got to get cleaned up with him. and we'll get that straightened out this week. But the more plays he's getting, the more confidence he has, and I think he can be a really good back in this conference.
This week for both
As well as Boosie.
for both you guys and Louisville, this will mark the debut of the ACC availability reports midway through the week or so. Just curious if your thoughts on that, just being something that's required now, and do you think it'll have the desired effect as far as curbing kind of nefarious gambling activity?
I don't know. I'm not a gambler, so I don't pay attention to those. I don't know if, what kind of effect it'll be on. Again, we haven't done this for a while. We did this my first probably 3 or 4 years, the availability report. This one's a little bit different from what I gather. We'll give it a test run here on Thursday and Friday. I think we have to. I mean, this is not just a Friday or Saturday morning report. This is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and a lot of things can happen in 3 days as far as the health of your players.
This is the third year Louisville's running a transfer to be a one-year starter. Do you find that these guys just kind of always fit seamlessly into what Brom does? Does he like to tweak things a little bit to fit what these guys do, or how?
Yeah, like I said, Jeff Brom's one of the best, Stephen, and he's one of the best. He takes these quarterbacks and he develops them. I mean, he's a quarterback guru. So he's done a nice job with Miller and the Moss kid, and did a good job with the kid last year who I think is with the Saints. So he finds the guy he likes, something he likes about him, and he goes after him.
On the run game, what are you guys seeing? That's sort of holding you back from establishing sort of consistently picking up 4, 5, 6 yards on a regular basis?
Yeah, they ran the ball. We didn't run the ball, and again, it was all come down to execution across the board. But we had some good runs in there, I think, Chris. But they changed some things. I mean, at halftime, I think we went and adjusted some things as well on the sideline, just with some of the things they did differently than they had done in the previous game. So that'll all come, and it hurts. Again, we start off. Dez is breaking off some good runs, some 8, 9, 10-yard gains. So we just got to keep it rolling, and we should be fine. Then we had when the young guys came in, some of the places we were running the ball wasn't exactly like it to be. But again, whether it was Boosie or Goff, those are things that will get cleaned up with the more experience they have.
As you approach conference play here, have you been able to get a sense of anything really positive that you feel like we can lean into this? This is where it should be for conference play. And the converse of that, is there 1 or 2 elements that you're looking at and say, we've got to tighten this up before we get into the
We have to tighten a lot of things. First thing we got to do is tighten up our execution on both sides of the ball. I mean, I thought special teams were solid. We haven't talked much about them. But, both sides of the ball, it comes down to execution. And, without execution, it doesn't matter, and you can't even evaluate the play. It's like, what if we would have got that block or did this? What if we would have read our keys? So it all comes down to execution. So there's nothing that you're saying after 3 games, this is terrible, we can't do that, or, hey, this is what we are and this is what we have to do, and that's it. I mean, it comes down to execution. You got to mix it up enough offensively and defensively to get that. But, I don't know if our guys were just, too fired up or what, but we didn't execute.
The depth chart isn't always gospel. I mean, things can change over the week and put different guys in the field. But is making changes to that depth chart over the bye week or week to week, is that a way of maybe telling certain guys to expect more and demand more out of them?
I hope they're not looking at the depth chart. I mean, they see a depth chart every day in here when they get on the field and practice. So I don't know if they're really looking at the depth chart. I hope not. I mean, I don't know when he releases it or whatever, but I'm not reading what the depth chart looks like out there. I'm focused on Louisville, so I don't know if the depth chart matters. You're going to get your opportunity. You got to go make plays and execute.
You talked a lot about execution, but do you ever go, when you're looking back at the film and looking at the play calling offensively, at least from Cade, do you ever meet with him and talk about maybe tweaking some things or things that you see?
Yeah, I meet with him all the time, number one, and I think he caught a hell of a game, to be honest with you. I mean, we got to execute, we got to make plays. I mean, there's plays you'd like to have back here and there, and communication can always be better. But I thought when you go back and watch the tape with him and see what's there and what's open, and if we get the block there, if we get this, I thought we put ourselves in some good positions that we got to finish.
When you have a situation like that where the plays are there, but you just miss a block or you just miss a throw, is the answer then personnel? You have to then look for personnel solutions.
I mean, eventually, personnel is at every position, right? I mean, if you're not making the tackle, you're not reading your keys, and you're not making those plays, you're not in the right spot. You always got to look at personnel. Period. Personnel is always it, but you don't look at it after one game and say, hey, you're out at any position. I think it's a gradual thing that you want to get fixed. That's our job as coaches, is to fix it. That's our job as coaches. It starts with us as coaches. We got to get the execution better in all phases.
Are you still feeling good about the offensive line? We asked you 2 weeks ago about it. I'm curious.
I do. I feel good. We just got to execute. We got to protect what we're supposed to protect. But when you look overall, I mean, besides a couple issues, maybe with the running back protection, we did a good job protecting the quarterback. We ran into some sacks, and we got to move our feet in the pocket and find the open receiver and hit him.
Anything else?
Desmond Reed is your number 1 running back. Your returning rusher from last season left the game after the first quarter. Watched from the sidelines. Was he able to practice last week? Is he practicing this week?
He was out there. He was out there last week. What else you got? The availability report will be out. Huh, Justin? Find out where we are. All right. Have a good one.